Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Kansas City for round two of the Australasian Supercar eSeries here at Kansas Super Speedway. You are on Performance eStreaming, and we are bringing you tonight's race. I am, as ever, Mr. Carl Wilkinson. With you, joining me up here in the booth is Mr. Matt Hunter. How are you going, Matt?
Very good, Cal. Very good. Nice to be here.
Always nice, and look, Kansas is a fun track, and it is going to be a fast one here tonight with these V8s. The Ford versus Holden battle will rage on tonight. Will we see Craig Roffey taking another victory, or will it be a new victor to the lane? We are about to get ready to start grilling up. Before we do, though, we'll just quickly run through the top five in the championship. It is Craig Roffey leading the championship on 41 points. Second place, joint second place, is Ruben Phelps with Remy Diego, both on 35. Third place, Gary Wellman in with 34 points. And then it is Jamie Nankervis with 32 points in fifth position. So it's going to be an interesting one tonight. Season is just starting. There's still many races to go, but you want to try and get a good start to the year. And well, Craig Roffey had a great one last time out. Will he be able to take that momentum into tonight's race? Only time will tell. So the cars are about to start gridding up. Let us run through this bumper field of cars tonight and go through the starting order once they start appearing. There we go. Oh wait, we got the qualifying, haven't we? Sorry. Yes, that's right. The joys of starting a new season of brains not working, watching lots of motorsport on TV. We are heading into qualifying for the race itself. We've got 38 cars in the field tonight who got through on pre-qualifying. Who is going to take pole position here tonight, though? Anybody's game. We'll jump onto some of the cars and get a bit of a look at the track as we go. As we are on with one of the Sin Boys entries here, Dwayne Preece. So we'll get a good look off the track here. Kansas City, one of the faster tracks that we're going to come to. It is incredibly quick for a 1.5 mile, 2.4 kilometer speedway. In these V8s, though, it is pretty much flat out all the way through. Just the tiniest little lift of the throttle sometimes through the corners. But you are going fast here, up to 290 kilometers per hour at the end of those straights as we come into the corner, taking a slightly low line here, just keeping the car settled, all important. We're going to see drafting action for sure tonight as Dwayne Preece crosses the line. Where will that pop him up to? It's popped him up into seventh place. Heath Bartlett at the moment on the top of the leaderboards. Ruben Phelps just behind him. This track, though, is incredibly quick and, well, it should be a fun one tonight. Big thank you as well, of course, to My Private Cellars, our title sponsor tonight. If you are in the need for some winekeeping solutions and are in the Brisbane area, get in contact with My Private Cellars. They can help you build some beautiful storage solutions for all of your wine needs and also keep it nice and filled up. Dwayne Preece just crosses the line for his second lap this time round. Improves a little bit, but jumps up into 13th place. So he's going to be sort of in the mid-pack tonight. Heath Bartlett, currently the guy on pole position. He's keeping up there just ahead of Ruben Phelps by absolutely nothing. 0.001. Ross Chanton now on board with. He's coming around to finish his second lap. He's currently sitting down in 20th position. He's going to want to try and get up a little bit in the field. Start a little bit higher up in this order. It's never fun starting in the mid pack, never fun starting just in that section because you're in the risk zone. If you can get yourself up a little bit higher, it takes away some of that risk. Of course, you'll see a few drivers keeping out of trouble and just waiting to go out, leaving themselves towards the back of the pack. Barry Neal out on track now with Aotearoa Racing. He is going to be looking for a good result tonight, the Kiwi. Always strong, one to watch out for. The very beautiful blue colouring on that car. Keep an eye out for him in this race. He tends to do well on this style of track, and he is very, very quick indeed, especially in these supercars. In the Ford Mustang at the moment, gets across the line to start his lap, I believe. Just finishing his lap, actually. So just finishes that lap, sitting down in 30th position at the moment, Barry. He will want to try and improve that one later on. Few drivers still sitting in the lane, just waiting to go out, wondering if they will. Oh, Barry Neal jumps up into first position. Sorry. Barry Neal manages to get up there into first. Nice job, Barry. That was a good lap indeed. Sorry, my timing screen decided it was going to play around for a couple of moments there. I do apologise about that. But looks like Barry Neal might be starting on pole position as the time starts to run out, as people are losing the opportunity to take that lap. A few people obviously deciding to start from the back of the pack tonight. Not always a bad idea. It's going to be a long old race, and you've got to get to the end to get those points. 134 laps here tonight. I expect to see drivers hitting around about the lap 44, 47 mark for stops for fuel. Of course, if you are new to the Australasian Supercar eSeries, it is just one set of tyres they get to change throughout the race, so that could be a crucial one tonight. Not a huge amount of wear on a place like this, but it can come to play later on in the race. So having a fresh set of tyres in the bank could be a crucial thing, and it all depends when you change them as well. If you change them in a green flag stop, you're going to lose time. If you can change them under caution, that is the time to do it. So we'll jump to the gridding up process now and find out who got pole position as they start to move their way onto the track. It is Barry Neal taking pole position tonight, starting on the front row with Craig Rothey to his outside. Row 2 is Heath Bartlett and Ruben Phelps. On the third row is Davidson and Sharp. Fourth row, we've got Savage and Malone. Row 5 is Donnelly and Wellman. Row 6, we have Dillon and Finlay. Seventh row is Barber and Jaeger. On row 8, it's Maxfield and Turner. Row 9, Witcher and Priest. Row 10, Spencer and Chetham. Row 11 is Tony and Kim Roffey. Row 12, we have Ma and Matson. 13 is Nicholas Walsh, Jared Daly. Row 14 is Schmidt and Nassar. 15 is Koch and Patton. Down towards row 16, Tremco and Tomlin. Row 17, Crum and Jai Schultz. Row 18, Kobe Jordan, Noddy Tompkins. And rounding us out for tonight, I believe we may have Matt Patton and Che Mello as well, but it looks like they may be starting from just towards the back of the grid, as they did not set a time. Bumper field here tonight. It's going to be an interesting one. Get ready for some great action. If this is your first time with the My Private Sellers Australasian Supercar eSeries V8s on the oval, you are in for an absolute treat. We're not disappointed last time out with the Super Speedway. This time out, though, slightly different track, but still just as fast. Wait for all the action to come in. It's going to be an exciting race for sure.
Another big bumper field there, Carl. It's a fair bit of work to get through the grid at the start of the race.
Exactly. Uses up most of my voice at the start of the race, which is always fun. Need an extra breather. Need to have the old oxygen tank ready. Oh, we've had something actually happen to Ruben Phelps by the looks of it. Something's gone wrong with with something happening.
That
Yeah,
low
something
line,
strange.
the low line of the pits didn't look like it didn't get away, and maybe the lead car stalled, maybe, or
Yeah, it looks like maybe a connection problem there for the 06 has caused a little bit of a weird moment for the server and just throwing things out a little bit. I'm just going back to make sure, just have a little bit of a look-see myself, just see if anybody got caught up with damage or anything like that. I think everybody got away pretty safely, but it has caused a little bit of a little bit of shenanigans, as all there was contact between a couple of the cars on the low line. No major damage, but that has caused a little bit of damage to just a little bit of contact and just throwing things out a little bit. I believe the start got extended a little bit because of that incident, just as people form up, get ready to race and just sort themselves out. But as is the perils with motorsport, Matt, it's easy for little mistakes like that to happen, for little hiccups to cause a little bit of problem.
Yeah, everybody's anticipating going there and ready to get going, and if there's a little bit of a delay for whatever reason, it can cause a bit of a stack up.
And you always feel utterly stupid when you're the one that goes into the back of somebody, or you just have that little nudge, you just go panicking, and you're always apologetic over the radio, but it is so easy to make those little mistakes sometimes because the adrenaline starts pumping for the race to start. Everybody looks like they start moving, and then sometimes a little hiccup like that can throw it all out. So we are getting ready for the start of the race. The pace car lights are out. We will be going green shortly for this race. Brought to you, of course, by my private sellers, United Electrical Solutions, Hot Toddies, heating installations, which are electrics, and RKJ Web Services. But we are about to go green. I will shut up, let you enjoy the start of this race and those big 5-litre V8s roaring. As we cross the line for our second lap, we are away. It is Barry Neal getting a good launch on that low line. The low line took away like a scolded cat. The high line dropping back a little bit. We got Neal, Roffey, Davidson, Bartlett, Donnelly, Savage, Phelps, Dillon, Wellman and Sharp in the top 10. Down on the low line though, it looks like Craig Roffey's decided to go early for the lead, getting up front early in this race. We saw this at Daytona, him getting up there to get that little bit of a lap led, get that bonus point, and then deciding to drop back to the back of the pack to keep himself safe. Will we see it again here tonight? He's currently in the lead. We are too wide up the front. Troy Davidson, current champion, up on the high line for the Sim Boys. Going well at the moment. He's got a good run with Donnelly on the inside, free wide through the turns 3 and 4. They make it there. A couple of the skeleton cars just behind them, looking racy up the front here tonight at Kansas Speedway.
3 and 4 wide for the lead there. Cars battling very, very hard early on.
Very hard racing this early in the race. 3 wide at the start. You can do it here at Kansas, but it can affect you a little bit as the race goes on. So maybe just taking a bit too much out of their tyres early on could be a mistake come 5 or 6 laps. You can see that battle behind though. This front pack has pulled out a huge amount. Cars down to Bartlett, I believe. Absolutely battling it out. Oh, we got contact! Roffey in the wall with Donnelly, I believe. Big moment there, and that continued on.
It was right at the front that occurred.
Okay, Donnelly came down and then caught the rest of the pack, and that has taken out a huge amount of cars there. As you said, Matt, right at the front of the pack this early in the race. That is not what you want to see.
No, not indeed. I'm just going to have a look back through and see if we can find the replay for that one.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get that one. It was a big moment, and that has taken out a huge chunk of the field, unfortunately. So we'll see the replay here. Oh, just caught the end of it there.
A little bit more.
So here we see it a little bit further back. Watch the blue car and the green car on the low line. We'll just see here the 41 make contact, just starts to go up a little bit, makes contact with the green car, spears them into the wall. Troy Davidson, the luckiest guy in the world there, just avoids that incident by the skin of his teeth. And then what will happen is Kay Donnelly will bounce back off the wall, unfortunately, can't get the brakes working quick enough and goes down to in front of the rest of the field. Big incident there, taking out a handful of cars.
As indeed a big incident. Just trying to find a better camera view there and sort of we'll just wind it back a little bit and just see how everybody fared trying to get through that.
So as we watch this one, Jai Schultz, Roffey, Craig Roffey, Andy Barber, Troy Turner. Troy Turner did
Phelps
get
in the 06 as well.
Phelps, yep.
Yep.
Ross Chatham and Kay Donnelly, all big incidents in that one. They're in pit lane trying to get some repairs done, and quite a few other cars caught up in that one as well. As I say, down towards the back of the field, a lot of cars caught up in that one. We've had cars come down pit lane though, all but Savage and Partlet, Corey Savage and Heath Partlet, both deciding to stay out on track and keep it out there for now. The two Skeleton Sim Sports boys staying out on track, the 861 and 64 deciding to keep out on track. Everybody else coming down pit lane, getting some fuel in the cars, getting it to go a little bit longer, of course. Remember, having a little bit of extra fuel can save you in the long run. If there is a caution, it can be your best friend sometimes. So people taking advantage of that early on in this race.
Yeah, some very damaged cars in pit lane there. Might be the end of the evening for a few cars, although all the drivers do seem to still be in their cars.
Yeah, I hope they'll try and get back out there and go for the points, of course. This has been a big moment for everything simulated. Racing, of course, Ruben Phelps taken out that one. They came into this race leading the team's championship by 5 points over Rogue Sim Sports and Skypoint Racing. So having one of their cars involved in that so early on is going to hurt them. They've still got Tristan Koch out there in the running, and his car looks pretty clean. So he's going to be trying to get away with that one and trying to score some points, of course. But that definitely will have an effect on the championship. Even though it is early doors, all those points do matter at the end.
Yeah, you need every point you can get in these championships. They're going to be pretty closely run.
Very much so. That is the thing. It is so close, as we've seen from prior championships. It is usually decided last lap, last race, and sometimes only a couple of points in it. So getting those extra points is all important. And well, we saw Craig Roffey caught up in that one last week, winning it. This week he is been in the wall early. It's going to be a tough night for him to get some points on the board. A lot of repairs needed for that car, unfortunately, and I be surprised if he can get back out there within the next 10 minutes, I'd say.
He's already sitting 2 laps down, I'd say. Now he's just going to be circulating around at the back and picking up positions as other cars fall out. Just maximise the amount of points that he can out of it. But make the most of a bad day.
That is it, trying to reduce the pain a little bit. It's never fun when you have to drive a broken race car around, but sometimes it is needed. A few people just jumping in pit lane just to get some final repairs done or a top up of fuel. Greg Spencer, Justin Witcher, Ruben Phelps, Matt Patton, Christopher Tomlin, Jordan Yeager and Schultz all darting in just to get those final repairs or a little bit of extra fuel in the tank. Of course, those can help you out a little bit, as we've seen in races, but they are lining up 2 by 2 they come. It is Corey Savage on the lead for this restart. Lap number 9 here at Kansas Speedway for the Australasian Supercar eSeries. It is round number 2, and we are about to go back to green flag racing once the pace car peels in, and we will go back to racing here tonight. 2 Skeleton boys up the front. This could be a chance for them, but look at that gaggle of Sim boys behind them. Pace car peels in. Cars are going to come up to the restart zone, and the green flag will drop very shortly. We are green, long waiting for the start there. A couple of people just touching the back there, just getting a little bit antsy on that restart, but we are away. Lap number 10, and away we go. Savage in the lead at the moment. Troy Davis and Alan Dillon just behind him, really pushing along. And there's somebody having a little bit of connectivity issue in the mid-pack. As you can see there, the purple car is just going in and out of the Nether Realms, and hopefully just keep up on that high line, keep out of trouble. Oh, up the front, Matt, up the front. The 861 catches the apron. He manages to save the car. A big check up at the front though. That was almost a huge accident on this restart, but Savage managed to save it somehow. That would have been a big moment of puckering up there. Just moments like that really, really wake you up. See here, hopefully, just on the exit of the corner. As we go through. A little bit behind.
So we're just having a look at
Next
this incident.
corner. Yeah, next corner. He's coming through and he just goes a little bit low, catches the apron a little bit, and almost gets skyrocketed up into his teammate.
Nah, don't seem to be able to find it, unfortunately.
Yeah, he's disappeared, sadly. But they all managed to save it up the front, so some good racing. Troy Davidson now up into the lead of the race himself, and Aaron Dillon pushing their way forwards, trying to get to the lead of this race on the low line. Cars pushing forwards up the front. They have pulled away quickly from the rest of the pack. As we drop back to Barry Neal is the next car in line in 7th position. The top 6 cars, though, are absolutely pulling out a big lead at this stage of the race, battling hard on lap 13. Dillon going to the low line. The 013 now looking to get that little tick next to his name for a lap lead. Always crucial to get those bonus points in the bag. Can't quite hold it there. He's got it. Gets that lap lead. Heath Partlett and Corey Savage now pushing forwards. Troy Davidson caught up on the high line. Just had a couple of moments where he just had to ease off. Got to be careful with these cars not overheating the tyres. It might be night time. It might not be the hottest track in the world, only 20 degrees Celsius, but it is easy to overheat those tyres if you start putting too much lateral load into them. It really scrubs them up and makes them very hot very quickly, and then all of a sudden you'll find yourself with absolutely no grip. Looking a bit further back,
It's very weird that they've got a gap of about 2 seconds between 6th and 7th so early on, which makes me think that maybe the top 6 are pushing pretty hard and everyone else behind is quite happy to just sit back and cruise.
I wonder if there was a bit of a lift-off when they saw the car just having a wobble and it's just really broken the packs up. That's my thought process, but there are lots of gaps forming. There are a few people in different packs now. I was just saying a little bit further back, we've got Justin Witcher leading the pack from 22nd down. A few of those cars have got some damage, but they're sort of sitting good. Ooh, how far off are they? They're a good 5 seconds off the leader's pace. Or off the leader, I should say. But they're just sort of setting a secondary pack at the moment. And I think maybe they're just deciding to split up a little bit, just in case we see another accident, just trying to keep themselves safe.
Yeah, they're very... what's their last lap times? About 1.3 seconds slower lap time than the leader that time around.
Some interesting strategies at play here then. So it'll be interesting to see how this one plays out, because a few people decided to run slightly different races here, and I wonder if people are looking at their calculators and things like that and thinking if they ease it off a little bit, they can make it a little bit longer in this race and possibly cut down the amount of pit stops needed. Always one of those things you have to think about and keep thinking about. Got the second pack formed behind Warwick Sharp and Chase Mello at the moment. They are down in 12th and 13th position, just pulling along a lot of cars behind them. Quite a few injured cars in the field, but they're all battling along as best they can. Probably the worst looking car out there at the moment is Andy Barber, who has got quite a lot of damage on the number 5 car. That one has seen better days for sure. I doubt you'll get much money on that for eBay.
Oh, I might get a little bit of it.
Maybe for scraps.
Reminds me of the Days of Thunder scene where he doesn't want Buck disappointed and he kicks the door, you know? Something we don't have to fix. I don't want you disappointed.
Yeah.
Looks like just about every panel on that car probably needs to be fixed, I think.
Yep. The Maybe a B pillar might just be salvageable, but other than that, it's looking pretty rough. So what we might do is jump to the Witcher Electrics drone and get a bit of a look at this field as they go along. Of course, if you are in need for some electric solutions and help in the Ballarat region of Australia, contact Witcher Electrics for help in those areas. But a great little camera, this one gets a really good idea of the speed, and you can see those cars just absolutely gunning along. Doddy Tompkins there, currently sitting in 7th position. He's moving along nicely tonight. We saw him very strong last time out at the Super Speedway of Daytona. Will he have the same strength tonight? He led the most laps last time out. He will hope to repeat that action. Pole sitter Barry Neal just behind him with Alex Schmidt. Next car in line. Looks like everybody's starting to settle down a little bit now, which is probably for the best this early on in the race. We're 22 laps in. Expect it to start getting a little bit more crazy as those laps count down, though. We usually say the early stages of a race tend to be a little bit more relaxed than the latter stages. This time it was not quite that way, but I'm sure a few people will just want to get into a rhythm now, get settled in, get at least half race distance, and then get back to fighting.
Just running through the field, there's some nice liveried cars out there. It's always nice to see.
Absolutely, and I see the drone just stayed a little bit longer on the Pinnacle car, sponsored by Witcher Electrics. Obviously, sponsor loving that car. The drone obviously has a bias there.
Bit of a zoom in there for the My Private Seller car.
Exactly, it makes our job nice and easy when the title sponsors appear on screen like that. 29 there, running along nicely at the moment. Those guys are in that sort of secondary pack, that third pack, I should say, just sitting a little bit further in the field, just moving along, keeping up pace and just waiting to make their pounce. A little bit later in this race, Greg Spencer, of course, to 29.
Just working our way down through the field. I think we're starting to see some damaged cars down here. Joe Schultz's car, it doesn't look too bad.
No, it looks like he's got away with he got away with that one relatively well. I saw him down pit lane a few times. Just another closer examination of the car. It's not looking too bad. I think there's a couple of wrinkles maybe, but I'm not seeing a huge amount of damage on that car. So he's gotten away with that quite nicely, and he's sitting in a relatively good spot as well. He'll be hoping to carry on with that one.
Well, he is unfortunately 8 laps down at the moment. Oh no, sorry,
No.
he's 1 lap down. I'm sorry, I was thinking of Andy Barber on the timing screen who's just gone to the pits. He's 8 laps down. Craig Ruffy, the winner of last week, he is 20 laps down, still sitting in the pits getting repairs done. And Troy Turner and Jason Marr are 20 laps down in the pits as well. That Jason Marr car looks particularly bad in the front there.
Yeah. I don't feel like we're going to see that one appear tonight, unfortunately, unless they've got a necromancer on hand. Up at the front of the field, though, we've got the Skeleton Sim Sports boys battling it out for position. Corey Savage and Heath Bartlett keeping on. They've been in the lead of this race for a fair few laps now. They have got a Simboy train behind them, though. Gary Wellman, Aaron Dillon, Troy Davidson, and Dwayne Priest. All 4 Simboy cars up, looking to improve on this one. Never discount Simboys. They are great on these fast tracks. Really good at drafting and drifting, I should say. But they are really good at the draft action. They work well together. They know each other well. They race a lot with each other as well. So definitely a team to watch out for. And they've pulled out a huge lead now, almost 9 seconds ahead of Barry Neal. So these guys are really pushing along and really pushing the times. Lap times... where am I? Lap times, they're about 3/10 quicker than the rest of the field. So they are absolutely gunning for it at the moment. They are really putting the pace through the cars and really pulling out a nice healthy gap. So they're going to hope that this race remains as green as possible because that will help them out in the future. Of course, it just takes one caution, though, to negate that lead. And with how tricky these cars can be on an oval sometimes, it does not take long for that to happen. A little bit further back, we've got Adam Malone. He is pushing along. Oh, sorry, excuse me, hiccups there. He's pushing along nicely in the Skypoint entered car. A lot of damage on that car, though. He is really working well with... Who was that just in front of him? Sorry, with Kim Rothie at the moment, who's just helping him out by adding a little bit of draft for him, because the front of the number 4 car is, well, there's not much left of that one, but he's proving he can still make some speed in the car and keep running as the car's just come up past Ruben Phelps, who is going down a lap there. Unfortunately, the 06, we saw him have a stellar run last time out, getting P2. Tonight, though, is a different story. Missing the bonnet on that car and a lot of the front end, that is hurting him for top speed. He's only capable of around about 265 kilometers per hour, while the leaders are hitting 290, and that is a huge difference of speed. But the race is not over yet. He's still got a chance of scoring some points, and he's going to be out there just to scrape those points through to keep his championship hopes alive, of course, because every point can help in a series like this. You never know who's going to have a bad week, who's going to have a good week. But it is Corey Savage in the lead still.
Sorry there, Carl. I was talking, but my microphone was muted. I was mentioning that of the top 6 cars here, we've got 2 as the Skeleton Racing team, and then 4 of the Sim Boys all lined up. So,
yeah,
that'll definitely be a benefit when they come down pit road, because they should be all coming down together at the same time, and working together to get back up to speed. So yeah, they could really get a big gap out on the field here.
Very much so. Of course, if we have a green flag stop, that gap will be really useful for them. They've got 10 seconds over the rest of the field, but being able to come in with teammates is crucial, because when you lose that draft, it is a huge amount of speed that you lose. It really can hurt you in the long run, and the other thing it does is hurts your fuel mileage as well. Just looking back a little bit, cars that are not currently in a real big pack, they're hitting around 280 kilometers per hour, where the leaders are up in the 290 kph range. And that's the difference between having a nice formed up pack that the leaders have got at the moment, and everybody being a little bit out of order, that we're seeing a little bit further back with Shane Mello, Noddy Tompkins, Barry Neal, Todd Maxfield, and the rest of those cars that are sitting in the secondary pack at the moment.
Yeah, I think there's got to be definitely a clear strategy that these teams are running with these amount of laps and petrol. And actually, we can put it up there and see that their fuel tank range, we've been told, is about 46 to 47 laps. Yeah, I'm just trying to think why we're seeing such a big difference in speed, but it could be just pure draft working together. But I've got to think that it's that these cars down the back are not pushing as hard.
Yeah, it's odd to have such a big difference.
I mean, they're 20 seconds behind now, so with a 31-second lap time, they're not far away from going a lap down.
Yeah, that's it. It's. I get the feeling some of them are trying to save a little bit, because cars that are sort of running on their own are getting a little bit more speed than some of those cars that are sitting in line with each other. I'm just looking at Barry Neal for this one, and he's getting up to about 290 on the end of the straightaways, whereas looking at the leaders, they're running up to about 292, 293 sort of area sometimes. It just seems strange that they're just holding back a little bit, and I don't know how much of that is really them saving, or them just maybe they've taken a bit of damage as well. That's the other thing that could be into play. If they've taken a tiny whack, that could be the one. But yeah, I just get the feeling that they're sort of trying their best to save as much fuel as possible, or they've got some kind of cunning plan.
Well, I think Brad Allison might be onto it. He can't wait to do the testing of their fuel after the race. He thinks they might have something a little bit extra in those top 6 car fuel tank, maybe.
They're running the old moonshine into the tank.
Doing the old war trip racing trick.
That could well be it, of course. Not easy to do in a sim car. You have to turn that fuel virtual and feed it through your boot. It's not an easy thing to do, but don't discount race drivers. where an advantage is to be gained, they'll always try it. But one car I was sort of having a bit of a look at was Noddy Tompkins, because he's sort of running out on his own at the moment, and he's behind Che Mello, but he's sort of constantly getting a bit more speed than Barry Neal, and it's just I'm interested to see what Barry's up to in the 22. I get the feeling they've got a strategy in mind and they're just playing to it with 41 laps in. Now, one thing to also remember, Corey Savage and Heath Bartlett haven't stopped yet. They did not stop in that caution, so they are going to need to come down pit lane, come into pit road in the next 3 to 4 laps, I would say, as just get past Ruben again. Yeah, Ruben Phelps there. But they're going to need to come down pit lane very, very shortly. Of course, they will have saved a little bit of fuel in the caution. While under the pace car conditions, you can save a little bit of fuel. You don't need to use as much gas when you're running at very little throttle. But they are going to need to come in a long time before everybody else, and that could really cost them. The ones to really watch out for is Wellman, Dillon, Davidson and Priest, those sim boys behind, because they can go probably an extra 8, 10 laps maybe. They can probably go an extra 10 laps over the two at the front, so there's going to be a big difference in speeds, and big difference for pit lane, and really going to change things up in the next 3 or so laps, as the two skeleton boys start to just ease off now at the front, and the sim boys are starting to come for them. Sim boys are starting to look to making a move. You can see it starting to happen now. They're just getting a little bit hungry. They want to get to the front of this pack. They want to sort themselves out as they're coming up to a lapped car here of Tony Rothey, who drops down very kindly there, dropping down below the line, letting the leaders pass without any hassle at all. But the skeleton boys, they're going to be pitting in the next lap or two, I'd say.
Yeah, I think we were on board with the first car, Savage car, and he got really, really tight off the exit of turn 4 and pushed up into the wall, and heard him get out of the throttle, quite a big lift to get out of the throttle just to stop the car from going into the wall. And that was kind of right when the sim boys decided that they would sort of pounce on him. But here they come into the pits now.
First green flag. Oh, no, that's a bit early.
Okay.
I think they are coming in pit lane, but I think they misjudged their pit entry there, because that was a big moment. Luckily, no cars to the side of them, but they are in pit lane now. Savage and Bartlett coming into down pit road, lap 46. First cars to make a green flag stop in this second stint of the race. They're going to hope to make a good stop here and get through quickly. We'll also see how much time is going to be lost in pit lane. Of course, they will drop down a lap, because we've got Wellman coming around the final couple of corners now, and he's going to be crossing the line any second now. There he is. Away he goes, as Savage and Bartlett are still getting the fuel put in. Remember, it takes a while to get the fuel in these things, so the pit lane, it just feels like it's taking forever, especially in a green flag scenario. It is so painful. But these cars will need to come down pit lane as well in the next 6 laps or so. So not long until we get those pit stops happening.
So we might be a little bit out on our estimates for our fuel range there, because those cars put it after about 45, 46 laps, and we had a couple of safety car laps in there as well where they would have saved. So the range of the cars might only be something like 43.
But remember, they were leading. Those two were leading that pack pretty much the whole run. So
Hmm.
I reckon they've used a little bit more fuel than some of the people that were sitting in a bit of a train. Those people like Barry Neal, who are, just saving a little bit, not pushing quite as hard. I think those guys are going to be able to go a little bit longer in the stints, but we'll soon find out because it's not going to be long until we see this green car, the number 45, Gary Wellman, popping into pit lane. You can see up in front of him is Toby Jordan and Christopher Tomlin. They are about to go a lap down unless they can keep themselves up in front of the 45. Of course, it is crucial sometimes to stay on the lead lap if you can, especially when pit stops are starting to happen. Because, this is where a caution could come out. If you're on that lead lap, you will get
Oh, this
right
is
to the back.
dangerous. Oh, yeah. Priest had to get
Big
on the
moment
brakes
there.
there. We saw the brake lights light up as Priest had to jump on the brakes there as that car came back up the track.
Big moment. That was one of those moments where you take a deep breath. But this has got the Skeleton Boys right up next to these guys. They have gotten into the group of the two Sim Boys entries. They are 2 laps down now. But they are with the leaders. It's very tight squeeze there. Get through, 3 wide. 44 laps now for the leaders of Priest and Wellman. Dwayne Priest getting a lap led next to his name. So how long until we see these cars coming down pit lane, I wonder. And of course, if a caution does come out, it's going to favour those people that got that little bit of extra fuel. If they can go a little bit longer, they will be sitting pretty. It looks like we could be seeing 2 of the Sim Boys coming in pit lane shortly. Will they come in this time around or next time? No, they're not coming in yet. They're still moving along.
You definitely want to stretch it because it looks like you go down 2 laps on a green flag pit stop. You'll lose 2 laps to the leaders.
Yeah, it's a long old pit stop. So,
Big punishment.
pit lane transition time for Partlet and Savage was 58.5 seconds and 59.3 seconds. So it is a long time in pit lane, and that feels like an eternity when you're sitting there, waiting for all that fuel to get put into the car.
And the real danger is that you pit, and as you pit and you go 2 laps down, you get a caution come out, and you're done. You're going to battle for the rest of the race just to get one of those laps back, let alone 2 of them. And it will really take you out of contention.
Absolutely, it really can hurt, and this could be the strategy that that second group's playing. People sitting in about 8th onwards, Barry Neal and the likes, they could be just going for that long stint, just hoping that they can keep going and maybe a caution comes out and they can get through. Adam Malone in pit lane with Ruben Phelps, those two just getting their pit stops done. Both those cars out of contention, unfortunately, due to an earlier incident. The leaders still chugging along nicely. 47 laps into the stint now, so looks like our information was correct, Matt. So that's some good news.
Excellent. So yeah, they've definitely been working well together and are fuel saving. So that's the advantage of having good team numbers. You can get a different driver to take a turn up the front and let the others ease off and save some fuel.
Absolutely, and having 4 cars to shuffle through really helps. Shea Mello and Noddy Tompkins in pit lane from 6th and 5th position. They've decided it's time to pull the pin. Kim Roffey as well joining them in pit lane. Not long now until we see the leaders popping in. We'll keep an eye on this group of cars because they will no doubt need to start looking at pit lane very shortly. A few drivers that came down the road a couple of extra times, like Chris Fenley, Richard Tamko, Greg Spencer, Nigel Patton, Raymond Yeager and Justin Witcher will try to go a little bit longer in this stint, so expect to see that work its way through later in this race as people shuffle into their different positions. So it looks like we've got
The 77's pitting.
Sim Boys coming in. 77. Dwayne Priest coming in
from 4th position, yeah.
Yeah, so he's coming a bit earlier than the rest of them, so that's off schedule there for the Sim Boys. So they've got 3 cars out there still, but he's coming in alone. Maybe a bit of a call there, but the rest of the team, as Dylan just about makes it through. Entry to pit lane is perilous sometimes. Gary Wellman makes it work a little bit better with Troy Davison They come in a little bit later. They get in nicely. We see just behind them as well, Christopher Tomlin coming down pit lane. So we're going to see a big glut of cars coming down pit road now. This has left Barry Neal and the rest are coming in. So interesting that they decided to come in now as well. That big second pack's come in. Raymond Yeager is going to take the lead of this race now. He is sticking it out there. He's a bit on his own though, unfortunately. So a lot of cars in pit lane now. This is going to be interesting to see how this one plays out. Who is going to make it work? Who has made the right choice? Who has made the wrong choice? We will soon find out. 76 laps here remaining for the Australasian Supercar eSeries, brought to you by My Private Sellers here on Performance eStreaming. We'll soon find out who has made the right call, who's made the wrong call in these pit stages. Now, of course, you don't need to take a full tank of gas. You can take a little bit less and make a shorter pit stop time. Take a little bit more, make a bit of a longer top pit stop time to try and get out with other people. But this is going to break the field up a huge amount as we see the rave going on in pit lane at the moment. With all of those limiters and the flashing lights, takes me back to my heady youth back in the day.
Should get out the sandstorm.
Absolutely. I feel like I need some glow sticks and a nice woolly hat. It takes me back to the old days. But this has really changed things up. Remy Yeager gets a point for a lap length, though, so he's going to get a bonus point for that.
Looks like he's
but it's going to be...
Yep.
Yeah, he's come in now, but it's going to be Partlet and Savage who are going to get back out in the lead of this race. They've built up a nice gap over the Simboy entries, who have fallen back a little bit. They are a good 3 or so seconds behind the leaders, so that pit strategy did not quite pay off for them as they've fallen back a little bit. We've got 75 laps remaining, 59 laps into this race, of course. So, well, we've seen them make it, what was that, 48 laps?
Yeah. So, we saw the Sim Boys make, I think, 50 to 51 laps. And these cars up the front here only made about 45, 46 with the safety car.
Okay, so this is going to be interesting to see who works this one out, because they can make it on one more stop. So it's going to be who's worked this out correct. The people that are going to be risky for one more stop is Partlet and Savage. They're probably going to be struggling a little bit to make it on exactly one more stop, whereas the rest of the field should be okay.
Yeah, I'm just wondering about them too. Yeah, they just need to make sure they work well together, and second car lines up and gets as much tow as they can, and then maybe swap it around, take turns leading, try and save that fuel, because they just need to stretch it out a little bit, just to make sure they've got a little bit in the bank, just in case.
Yeah, it's going to be very touch and go for them. They're going to need to either get into a nice formation or get a little bit lucky, because it's going to be almost fumes as they get towards the end of the race by my calculations. They'll be about 2 laps shy, so it's not impossible to make that up, but they might just need to put a little bit more effort into the fuel saving.
Fascinating to see that that group of Simboys cars that all pitted are all back lined up again, and all 4 in a row, and Barry and Noddy are there as well. It's not often that you see everything like that sort of go to plan, really. Like a whole team comes in, and usually one of them speeds on pit road or has a bad stop for whatever reason, and their group gets broken up. But they've done a really good job of orchestrating that and getting all 4 cars lined up.
Yeah, very much so. They've got it working out nicely there. Barry Neal's just a bit further back, unfortunately. He's about 6 seconds down the road from the Simboy entries. He's a bit in no man's land at the moment. He's got Noddy Tompkins a good 2 or 3 seconds behind him. And then it's the rest of the pack led by Kim Roffey at the moment in the 099, the Rogue Sim Sports entry. He is leading the next big pack. So they've worked out nicely to get into a group together. It's not the biggest pack, but they are in a relatively decent spot. I wonder if we'll see Partlet and Savage just ease up a little bit here, because the Simboy pack is not too far off the back of them, and if they just ease off a little bit, they'll sort of get into a nice spot where they could possibly work with them to get to the end of the race. But they're going to be as I say, I think they're going to be a little bit tricky to get to the very end on their tank. Of course, as is always the tradition in sim sports, they will prove us wrong.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we thought the range of the car was 46, 47, and then the Simple Boys go out and do a 50 lap stint, you know, so.
But that was with a pace car and safety cars period, and it's a couple of what ifs in that. I sort of wonder if green flag conditions, if it will be the same. It is one thing though it has done is made this race very interesting.
Mm.
Ooh, as
So we
Aaron Dillon just having a little close call with Tristan Koch a little bit further back as they were getting past each other. Some real close racing back there, and there's a big pack of angry cars there. A few people a lap down, a couple of people 2 laps down, a lot of people up towards the front end, the pointy end of the grid. We've got P3 up there, P3 down to P6 in this group as well. And Barry Neal is closing up on this troop as well. And there's a lot of different racing going on here with a lot of different teams, a lot of different cars.
Yeah, traffic is playing a part. Barry's already picked up a couple of seconds, and he's picking up a lot of time at the moment. As the leading cars are sort of struggling to get through traffic.
Of course, no blue flags in oval racing. It's one of the beautiful traditions because blue flags destroy racing. Unless you're the leader, of course. When you're the leader, you love blue flags. When you're anything else, you hate them. But it's a skill on its own. And of course, people who are a lap down do not need to yield position. They are racing for their spot still. And all it takes is an unlucky caution or a lucky caution, and they can soon get back into the race.
I was just noticing as well that Craig Ruffy is now back out on track. 55 laps down, but he is out there and making laps now. He's got that car repaired as much as they can.
He's got a chance. There are a couple of cars in front of him, like Troy Turner and Andy Barber, two very unlucky drivers earlier in the stint. Andy Barber's managed to get the bonnet back on that car as well as a rear wing. Troy Turner is a fair few laps back as well, but he has got the necromancers working hard on getting that car back out. The other Skeleton Sim boys, Skeleton Sim Sports entry there, but they've still got a chance of picking up some points if there are a few retirements in this race.
Which is all, you never say never in this sort of racing. There's always the possibility of a big wreck that could take out a number of drivers.
It only takes one lapse of concentration, and we've seen that so many times to the best of us and to the best racers. It just takes one little mistake and you can go round. And as these cars go on as well, the tyres are starting to get much worse. The cars start to feel different. If you've got a few bumps on the cars, they don't handle like they did at the start of the race, and it can get very tricky to get it to the end sometimes. And one lap the car will feel fine, the next lap it could feel completely different. And that is the joy of oval racing sometimes, is it can really catch you out when it goes. But the skill is keeping it on the track, and these boys are doing a good job so far tonight. Only the one caution back on lap number 5. We have been caution free since then. 72 laps into this race, 62 laps remaining here on Performance e-streaming for the Australasian Supercar eSeries, brought to you by My Private Sellers. Of course, United Electric Solutions will be happy to see some of their sponsored cars up there with the Sim Boys. You've got Troy Davison, Aaron Dillon, Gary Wellman and Dwayne Priest up in 3rd to 6th position. Of course, if you're in need of some renovations, new installations or repairs, head over to United Electrical Solutions for more information to help you out and keep the house running as you want it.
Don't forget, they've got hot toddies on the side as well.
Exactly, it keeps you nice and warm for all your heating solutions. If you're needing something nice and warm, or looking to sometimes cool down a little bit, keeping nice and warm, hot toddies over in Tasmania, I believe.
Yeah, it's funny you struggle with the Aotearoa racing team, but I'd struggle with the name of that place in Tasmania. Launceston? Is it? Something like that? Yeah.
No idea, actually. No idea. My Australian, New Zealand, Tasmanian geography is pretty terrible, unfortunately.
Well, something I have read about Hot Toddies is they're good because he drives a Ford, so that's all you need.
All the information you need.
That's all the information you need. He drives a Ford, so he's got to be good.
Absolutely. And a Ford is leading this race as well with the Skeleton Sim Sports, boys. It is Heath Partlet in the lead at the moment, running up nicely up the front of the field. They've been running up there pretty much all night, so they will have a nice amount of laps led this evening, which is always a nice thing to have. And of course, get those bonus points knocked off. But it is always the most important lap to lead is the final lap, so they're going to hope they're going to be there towards the end of this race. And you can see there, they've broken up a little bit. Heath Partlet's pulled out a bit of a gap over Corey Savage as they were just working their way through a couple of lapped cars there. Shay Mello, Jai Schultz and Luke Crum just working their way through that little group of cars. But they've opened up a big gap over the rest of the field. They've got 6 seconds now over Dylan in the Simboys train. And then a little bit further back, it goes to Barry Neal. He's 2 seconds off the Simboy train. He's working his way nicely up there. The Kiwi is trying to get up to the back of this group. Dwayne Priest has fallen down into 7th position. We're going back to which will be a bit higher when I last checked.
Yeah, he was very slow that last lap. About 1.2 seconds slow, so he might be doing a little bit of fuel saving of some kind there. Of course, he was the first one of the Simboys.
Caution.
Caution?
We've got a caution flag.
Let's see if I can find what's happened.
As we...
Maybe...
I was busy to see what happened to Priest, so...
I'll have a look here. I've got something flagged for Tony Roffey, so we'll have a little look and see where Tony is. He is definitely stopped. So, what's happened there? Well, that might be like maybe equipment failure?
Yeah, odd one, that one.
Sarah's
just decided...
It's just come off the corner.
Almost like the back end has back end's gone out.
Yeah.
Sounded like the throttle was stuck on, so possibly a equipment failure there for Tony Roffey, unfortunately.
You just see it turn here, and then he never tries to turn out of it, which makes me think that it's got to be an equipment failure of some kind.
Absolutely, a big shame there for the Rogue Sim Sports entry, because he was running up there fairly well. He had damage from previous incident, but it's never fun when that kind of thing happens. Few cars deciding to jump down pit lane. The leaders, not some of them though. So Partlet and Savage deciding to stick it out. Is this a bad call on their behalf? Because, well, theoretically you could make it from here, but by not much. So Walsh, Dillon, Wellman, Neil, Finlay, Maxfield, Priest, Kim Rothby, Noddy Tompkins, and Ash Nazir all come in pit lane. A few people deciding to stick it out there, but this has changed things up a little bit.
I think it's a great move, actually. You have to put... I mean, you're looking... what, 54 laps. You're going to have to stretch to 54 laps, and we've seen...
They've already done 34 laps, the Skeleton Boys. So Partlet and Savage I think they're coming in now.
Oh, they're coming in now?
They're leaving it a lap later, so they are going to come in now and serve their full pit stop a little bit later, possibly to have that little tiny drop more fuel on board. This could be the winning move here if it all pays out, because they'll only have 50 or so laps to go. They could have that extra pipette of fuel on board that they need to make it to the end.
Yeah, I thought they were going to go for that strategy. I probably would have, because, I mean, everybody has to pit one more time anyway. So if you stayed out there and pushed it over that 90 lap mark and come and get your pit, but yeah, I guess when you think about it, you've got the risk that you're putting under green, you're going to lose those 2 laps, and you've got to hope that it goes green to the end for it to play out. So it is definitely the smarter move to come in now.
That's it. And I wonder if we'll see a few people dart in again for a secondary stop just to top the fuel up a little bit before the green flag drops. Quite a few cars caught in the wave around situation as well ahead of
Yeah,
Aaron Dillon, I believe. So
I think we've got Luke Crum, Kobe Jordan, and Christopher Tomlin. They are all showing as 25 laps on their tyre on their stint so far. So I think they're all wave rounds, maybe.
Warwick Sharp as well is in that group. So they're sticking it out there to get the wave around. So Warwick Sharp, Matt Patton, Greg Spencer, Raymond Yeager, Justin Witcher, Christopher Tomlin, Kobe Jordan, Luke Crum, and Jai Schultz all going to get the wave around. So that will help them get back at least on the lead lap. They'll all come in pit lane as well. I imagine just to save themselves time to come in again, but at least they'll be on the lead lap. So it'd be interesting to see what their strategy is now. They might stick it out and just try and risk it. Of course, there could be a second caution coming up shortly, and that could pay off for these guys sticking it out there. So it'd be interesting to see who decides to do what there. Up the front, though, we've got Gary Wellman just jumping ahead of the pace car a little bit there. Think he thought he was in part of the wave around and just got excited. But it is Aaron Dillon in the 013 Simboys entry in the lead. And they've got a good lot of cars up there at the moment because they've got Dillon, Wellman, Davidson, Maxfield, Priest, all up there. Barry Neal is sitting in the way of a all Simboys 6 positions, though, because we've got Nicholas Walsh there as well as Christopher Finlay. So, you know, it's a lot of cars up the front. We've got a car just having a few moments of deciding it wants to try and get out of this world.
They're like rabbits. They're multiplying everywhere. There's heaps of them now.
I know. Simboys entries. They are forever. Pace car goes in. Green flag drops and we're back to racing here at Kansas Speedway for the Australasian Supercar eSeries brought to you by Private Sellers. Away they goes. It's Dillon in the lead.
Good, nice, clean start through the field by the looks.
Yeah, everybody getting away cleanly there, which is all important. And I wonder who, if anybody, took some tyres in that final stop, if somebody decided to chuck some fresh boots on their car. Of course, it's not the worst tyre munching place here at Kansas, but fresh boots will definitely help you out a little bit. Of course, you only get one set of tyres through the race, and it does make the pit stop last a little bit longer, but it could come to pay dividends in these latter stages of the race. So up the front it is Simboys up in the lead. The only fly in their ointment is Barry Neal at the moment. I said watch out for Barry. He's one of those drivers that will be there or thereabouts at the end of the race, and he is always a canny driver. He's one of those drivers that is great fun to race against, but he is always so very tricky to beat. So keep an eye on the Aotearoa.
Aotearoa.
Yeah, that'll do. Thank you, Matt. I like how resident Kiwi do that one. But keep an eye out in the blue car because he will be looking to get there in this race. Donny Tompkins up there as well. He's in 10th position at the moment. The yellow car, bright yellow car down on the low line. He's having a fairly solid run as well. No laps led tonight, unfortunately for him, but he'll sorely love to change that. Just behind him, though, is one of the skeleton cars. It is Heath Partlet, and he's coming back to try and get the lead of this race. Corey Savage as well, fighting their way through the field. You can see 3 wide here at Kansas as a few cars trying to jostle position. Just behind him, that is Peter Matson trying to get into this fight as well. These cars are getting racy now. This is the time where we're going to see those races happening. Ooh. It is all go as there's contact. Christopher Finlay gets a big bump in the rear there by Corey Savage, was it? Or was it Heath Partlet? Sorry, it was Partlet there.
Yeah, Savage and Partlet are driving very aggressive to get back up the front here now. There was a bit of 3 wide action before, and Noddy decided he was going to nope out of that, but Noddy's actually going 3 wide now through the middle again.
He's decided he wants to go through wide now. He's thought, well, I've seen what you boys can do. I'm going to show you my cards. And he is going for it now as well. Got 46 laps remaining here. Pretty much all the cars 8 laps into a stint. So it's going to be very tricky to make it on fuel unless we get a late caution tonight. If we see a late caution, it can really change up the race. If it goes green here, though, it is going to be anybody's game. Whoever can save that fuel the best, it's going to be looking good. We want to have enough fuel just in case there is a little bit of shenanigans at the end of the race. If the caution comes out, could leave you instead to be in for a good result tonight. We'll see how that one plays out. But it is Dylan in the lead, Davidson second, Barry Neal working his way up to third now. Barry Neal pushing his way nicely through this pack. He started off in first place. He wants to get back up there.
Yeah, I think Barry's just been taking it nice and easy the first half of the race, getting his eye in, looking out at what's all going on, and he's decided now's the time to put the foot down.
Now it's go time. You know, it's one of those things. He's been saved himself in the race. He was just cruising along and just having a Sunday drive, and then all of a sudden he switched it back onto race mode because he's going up into second position now. He's pushing his way up on the low line underneath Troy Davidson. He goes, and Barry Neal now up into second place. He's going to try and get back up there into the lead of this race. He's got Dylan in front of him, a lot of Sim boys behind him, but those Sim boys are getting cut up a little bit now as Noddy Tompkins makes his way through the field with Peter Matson, Heath Partlet and Corey Savage just on the tail of this pack. 11 cars strong now. This is the battle for the lead of this race. 43 laps remaining, still a long way to go, remember.
We expect still another green flag pit stop run to come through too. At least another pit stop.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tricky to make it without a splash and dash, and this is going to be I feel something got a bit loose in the background. One of the skeleton boys got a little bit loose around Peter Matson as they go very close to each other there on the exit of the corner. Back of this pack is getting very racy now. They really want to work their way up towards the front. Remember, those two skeleton cars have got a little bit more fuel on board, just by a lap or so. Not a huge amount, but there's enough to make a little bit more confident. Dylan's still got a good lead though. He's about 3 tenths ahead of Barry Neal, who is charging in front of the rest of the packs. Oh, one of Dwayne Priest goes round. He saves it. He saves it. He saves it.
Wow.
Oh,
Let's go back and have a look at that if we can.
Looks like there might have been the slightest bit of contact between himself and Partlet. Could have just been the car getting so close to the rear, it's just lifted the aero off, made the rear of that car go light. Dwayne Priest, stellar job of saving there. Sideways at 280 kilometers per hour. He managed to save that somehow. Took a couple of bites of the cherry to get there, but he did save it nonetheless. Oh, that's contact up the front. Noddy Tompkins making contact. As we will jump back to live, he manages to save it. That contact there between Tompkins and I didn't see who that was. It was a 16 there of Todd Maxfield. Those two just making contact as they go into turns 3 and 4. Good save again. Rubbin is racing, boys. Rubbin is racing.
This car's taking a hit. The intensity's definitely picked up now. We're heading towards the end of the race.
Absolutely great save there. That was a stellar save because that would have been a big accident. Just kept that car moving in the right direction, caught the slide, got it back moving, and he stayed up in that pack as well. Both those cars still in the pack, still 5th and still 5th for Noddy Tompkins. So he managed to save that slide as well as keeping in the race. Oh, there's a lot of action going on now. Some people moving out of the glass a little bit.
Very slow.
Yeah, I think somebody had a bit of a moment in the corner because it was Todd Maxfield made contact with the wall, and that slowed him down an enormous amount, and that caused a bit of a check-up in that secondary group there. He just had the slightest bit of contact with the wall, just bent the fender in a little bit, ground the tyre, and that slowed him down, just took away that momentum, And, still not going slow, still 260 odd kilometers per hour, but when that's going down from 280, that is a big change of speed.
There's different strategies. There's a number of drivers who will lift to preserve themselves in the car, and there's a number of drivers who will just keep the foot down and pick a gap and go for it.
Absolutely. So Luke Crumb's decided he's going to come in for a splash and dash. So we've had Luke Crumb and Kobe Jordan decide that they were going to take a splash and dash. So they're the first cars to take that opportunity. They were a lap down, I think, at the start of that little splash and dash. So
Greg Spencer has also been to pit road recently.
yes, he has. Greg Spencer joined them as well. So
Christopher Tomlin, Kobe Jordan. Yeah, a few cars have sort of gone and got their fuel probably to make it to the end now, and going to see how it plays out.
See how this one plays. Up at the front, though, got Dylan and Neil battling it out, and they have got between them Christopher Tomlin, one of those cars that did come down pit lane, get a little bit of extra fuel. Be a wise move now just to sit behind one of those cars with extra fuel on board and just save your own tank a little bit, because as we know, it's going to be tricky to get it to the end. We've got 34 laps remaining here. Lap 100 we are on for the Kansas round. Round number 2 of the Australasian Supercar eSeries. And we've still got 34 laps remaining. There's still a lot of action to come here tonight.
Definitely is. As we see, Tomlin trying to get one of his 2 laps back on the outside there.
Absolutely. If he can stay in that position, he could be in a fairly good one. Justin Witch down pit lane. He has decided to pull the pin as well. So the number 12 Pinnacle car coming down, deciding he's going to get a little bit more gas in the tank. So a few people deciding to come in at different times here tonight and seeing what they can do in this race. So definitely it's going to be tricky to make it to the end, but I think a few people will take that gamble. I wonder how many will, though.
We definitely know everybody can make it home now if they pit.
As we've got Troy Davison and Raymond Yeager jumping into pit lane as well. Both of those cars coming in to top up their tanks, get a little bit of extra gas on board. We'll jump to the RKJ Web Services pit cam now and watch those cars coming through. If you're interested in some website options, head over to RKJ Web Services for all the information. See there, the man himself, Mr. Raymond Yeager, there with the RKJ sponsorship on board. Couldn't have timed it perfectly there. It's absolutely works out well. But up the front, we have got everybody so close together. Dylan, Neil, Wellman, Tompkins, all in a line now. This group has got very close. Partlett's just sitting on the back as well. This group is starting to get very close to each other. This is now going to be a test of nerves. It's like playing poker at 200 miles per hour. You've got to keep that poker face on. Can't let the other drivers know what your plan is. If you're planning to try and run it to the end, see if you get a lucky caution, see if you can limp across the line, then go for it. Of course, you might see some drivers that think they've just about got enough fuel, try and make it. Remember, you're going to lose a lap or 2 coming into pit lane. For a splash and dash, you're going to drop down a lap. So if you can keep a lap ahead of all the rest of the drivers and just limp across the line, coughing and spluttering, but make it across ahead of the rest of them, you're still going to win this race.
That's all you need. You just needed enough fuel to get over that finish line.
And unfortunately, rocking back and forth in your sim chair does not help move the car. I've tried it. It does not work in sim racing. So you've got to have that gas in the tank to make it to the end. And these guys are pushing 29 laps remaining here tonight on Performance E-Streaming. And remember, head over to the YouTube channel or Facebook channel, Performance E-Streaming. Give it a like, subscribe to catch all the action for the rest of the year of the Australasian Supercar eSeries. We've got plenty more races to come, and if they're as exciting as this and the last race, we are in for an absolute treat this year. Boy, it's been some fun racing, and tonight has been no different.
It's always action with this racing. The pack racing on top of each other with using the draft. It's it's hard at times to decide what to put the camera on to watch because there's always action going up and down through the field. I know we miss some good battles throughout the field because we focus on there's always battles for the lead.
Exactly. I feel for the rest of the drivers tonight because there are so many good races going on, so many good performances out there as well. We've got some great people climbing up the ranks. People like Ashton there up 16 positions with Richie Tumko up 18 positions in 12th and 13th position. Noddy Tompkins 32 positions up, but he's up at the front, so he's getting a little bit of screen time tonight. A few other people to mention as well, big gainers in this race. We've got Matt Patton up 14 positions, Kobe Jordan, Luke Crum, Christopher Tomlin up 11 positions. Some good runs through this race. Peter Mattinson as well up 16 positions in 8th position. Some really good races going on tonight, but we can't keep our eyes off the front because it is absolutely action-packed up there at the moment. And, well, with 26 laps remaining, it's anybody's race. One thing to bear in mind, though, is the skeleton cars did stop a lap or so later, so they've got a little bit more left in the tank, so they could be in for a run. Keep an eye out for those cars as we go in. But it is going to be very close nonetheless. It's so close up there. There is absolutely nothing between them. Hearing over the radio now that the leader is coming in pit lane. Aaron Dillon in the 013, looking to come down pit road. He pulls down, gets on the loop line, and he's going to pull it into pit lane now. The limiter goes on. Leader pits. Barry Neal in the lead. Interesting to see the rest of the Simboys entries did not join him in pit lane, so the cars are going to be broken up a little bit now. I think they're going every man for himself's race, and they are really pushing hard because they've got Wellman, Walsh, Priest, Maxfield up the top there, and they've decided to stick it out. Who is going to come down pit lane next? They've done 30 odd laps in this stint. Who is going to come down? Just looking at the pit stop times last time round, Barry Neal took on the most fuel of anybody in that last run. He was stationary for the longest. His pit lane time was a bit longer than everybody else, so I reckon he could be one of those cars just to keep an eye out for, because he's taking a bit more fuel than some of the others. Noddy Tompkins got a little bit more gas in the tank than somebody like Gary Wellman, Nicholas Walsh, Dwayne Priest, Todd Maxfield. So keep an eye on those cars, because I think they're going to come in, just get a short stop, get a little bit of gas in the tank and get back out. But Barry Neal could be going to the end here.
Seems to be about a 35 seconds stationary time in the pit there just to get the fuel sorted for these cars, and so you only lose the one lap. If you're up the front, you're going to only lose the one lap.
Yeah, of course you don't need to take as much fuel as earlier in the race. You do not need a full tank to get you to the end now with 22 laps remaining. Just about half a tank of fuel is needed, and that means less time stationary in the pit lane. Of course, you have to click that over yourself. You have to do the actions yourself as a sim racing driver. Make sure you've got the amount set correct, because if you take a full tank of gas, it's going to cost you an enormous amount of time.
Yeah, it's when you program your crew chief to hopefully just fuel you to the end of the race and hope he gets it right in the calculation.
Absolutely. This is where you're relying on technology working for you, and in my experience, technology never likes me. But up the front, it is Barry Neal in the lead of this race. They go past Ruben Phelps in the 06. He's plodding along still, struggling in that car. 56 laps down, but he might be able to get past Tony Roffey and up into 32nd position at least to get some extra points. But yeah, it's been a dire night. Last week's winner, Craig Roffey, still circulating as well out there in the 030, but he is effectively last man on the track. He is down there in 35th position, just trying to get that car home after a lot of damage in that lap 5 incident.
He's only about 7.5 seconds behind Troy Turner in 34th spot, so he's trying to chase down Troy and see if he can get past and get some more points. So yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
And they're only a couple of laps off Ruben Phelps as well, hence Ruben keeping circulating out there because he can finish ahead of those guys. And well, coming into this race, Ruben was behind Craig Roffey in the championship, so he'll want to get a couple of extra points so he can at least be equal with him.
Driver probably sitting in the good position is probably Raymond Jaeger. I think he finished third last week, and he's still got a clean car and still circulating, so good opportunity for him to get a good bag of points and probably take the championship lead after this race, depending.
That's it. And of course, he has taken some fuel on board in that Pinnacle Esports entry with the RKJ logo on the front. He has taken a little bit of fuel, but just behind him, though, is a teammate of Greg Spencer with the My Private Sellers coloured car. So those two working together, and they're sitting nose to tail with each other, so they can help each other out come towards the end of this race, having that little bit of knowledge that they do not need to stop again, whereas everybody else, well, we think we'll have to. Heath Partler into pit lane now. The skeleton boy has come in, so he was not confident on the fuel. We saw him coming in a lap later than everybody else and getting a little bit of extra fuel, but obviously he's decided he can't make it to the end. He's going to chuck a bit of fuel in the tank and see what he can do from here. 16 laps remaining.
Yeah, that would explain. I was looking at the he's missed his pit and he's had to back.
Oh,
That
that's
would have
so
cost him a couple
painful.
of seconds.
It's even more painful when you're on the stream when that happens.
Although he had a really quick splash. 8.4 second splash. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really quick.
Only a little gulp of fuel in there, but with 15 laps remaining, that's all you need. That little mistake, though, will cost him those extra seconds in pit lane where you have to get it into neutral, get it into reverse, and get the car back out there. Is he?
He is
punish you and put a caution.
Oh.
Is that what caused the caution? Unfortunately, I hope it wouldn't be, but it looks like it may be.
I believe it is. I believe that may have been the cause of the caution. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I suspect's happened there is there's been an error in the pit stop and he hasn't fueled. He's come in, he's sat stationary, it hasn't got fuel for whatever reason. He's gone back out and without the fuel to make it home and realised that he's done. He's probably not going to make it home for the race without dropping multiple laps. So, and then he's unfortunately decided to just pull the car over where he did and quit the race. But
And unfortunately, iRacing clocked it as a stopped car on the track. Even though it was for a split second, it does happen, unfortunately. This has brought out the third caution for tonight's race, and a bit of a shame because that was lining up to be a nail-biting green flag finish. But it has changed things up now because we've got caution time. Who's going to stick it out there? Try and make it to the end on fumes, because if you've got some gas in the tank, you could possibly make it now just with the caution alone. Looks like everybody's coming in pit lane, though. We've got Barry Neal, Gary Wellman, Nicholas Walsh, Dwayne Priest, Noddy Tompkins, Todd Maxwell, Warwick Sharp pulling in. Ash Nazir possibly sticking it out there. So, no, he's coming in as well. So it looks like everybody's coming down pit road.
I think with only 12 cars on the lead lap, everybody else is going to be taking the wave around. You come in, you grab your fuel, you're nice and safe. You're not going to go any lower than 12th position. So I think, yeah, that's a smart thing to do. And we've seen them all do is they've all come in and grabbed fuel. Although...
Tim Roffey has stuck it out there with Richie Trumko, I believe.
Trimko? Yeah, Richie Trimko is showing us 40 laps on this stint and Kim Roffey on 38. What are we, 13 laps to go?
Yeah. Maybe they're going to risk it. Big risk to make, but...
Yeah, I think they might... maybe they're coming in this time to get the fuel, because you'd have to fuel save quite severely, and those other 10 cars are going to just fly past you, so what's the point? I think Ash Nazir, yep. Nasir.
Yep. Roffey's coming in as well, so I think they're just, depending on where they were in the actual group, that's just the one. Corey Savage, though, has he stuck it out there? He's sticking it out there, so I think Corey Savage is taking the gamble.
He's definitely taking the gamble.
The 861 Skeleton Sin Boys entry is taking the gamble here, and he has done 41 laps this stint, and we've got 12 laps remaining. It's going to be tight to make it to the end. Yeah,
and if I'm the guys behind him, I'm going to do everything I can to make him use that fuel. I'm going to, try and get into a race with him and make him use, put his foot down heavier than he needs to, and use up the fuel and run out of fuel. And drive
it.
away when he does.
Of course, there's a few things you can do in the car to try and save fuel under caution.
Let's have a look
Things
and
like
see.
switching the car off or running it in a very high gear at very low RPM.
Yeah, so he's rolling around in 6Q at the moment. He's definitely trying to save
You can hear
much
the
as he
car
can.
bubbling and burbling along. But yeah, he's trying not every trick in the book. I mean, he's not switching it off. Of course, one of the beautiful things about sim racing is you don't have a starter motor that's going to break on you in a race, which is the bane of so many drivers in the world when they have to switch their car off under a caution. But this gives us a chance to run through some of our sponsors tonight who have graciously helped out the Australasian Supercar eSeries. So we'll start off, of course, with our title sponsor, My Private Cellars. Of course, if you're in the Brisbane area looking for cellar design and wine in the area, My Private Cellars. Of course, we have United Electrical Solutions. If you're in the need for some new installations, if you're getting some renovations, head over to them. Hot Toddies, of course, heating installations, can supply you with some beautiful wood heaters and other items as well. Keep you nice and warm over the winter period. Witcher Electrics, always a fantastic group of guys in the Ballarat region. If you're looking for some electrical need, head over to Witcher Electrics. And of course, RKJ even, web services. If you're in the need for a new website or starting a new page, head over to RKJ Web Services for all the information there. And of course, Performance e-streaming. While you're watching this, head over to the YouTube channel or the Facebook channel, hit the like, hit the subscribe button to catch all of this year's action for the Australasian Supercar eSeries.
Yeah, and just a quick note on that, we are using the... Oh, as they're back underway.
As we go green. Oh, and Savage has not gotten away well. He's dropping down. That gamble did not pay off for Savage. And it is Wellman in the lead. Caution flag is out, though. Is that possibly because of Savage, I wonder?
Yep, that's showing us he is the event trigger for it, so let's have a look and see.
Yep, he stopped and pulled out of the race. And again, similar situation. The car has stopped on the circuit and has brought out the caution flag. It sounded like he couldn't get the car back in gear. I'm wondering if he had a...
Let's have a listen.
Let's have a little bit of a look-see. I got it down to
Fourth.
Oh, but there sounded to be no power, so... Just having a bit of a listen. Puts his foot down.
No.
And no, just lifts off.
Don't see any reason why that is.
No. Odd one.
It's a shame. He's been driving quite
shame.
well all night to yeah, it's a little thing like that. I mean, if you want to park the car, just go around park it in pit lane rather than create a caution for everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah, shame.
Always important if you're ever out in sim racing. Always treat it like you would treat a live race course. You know, if you need to stop in pit lane. Don't stop out on track because it can cause problems. And unfortunately, that's what's happened here.
It's only 15, 20 seconds. Well, I mean, okay, let's say full lap. It's only 30 seconds for you to get around, pull in the pit lane. You don't even have to go to your own pit box. You just go to the first one there and stop and jump out of the car. You know, it's a bit frustrating, I'm sure, for all the drivers there. But yeah, it sets up a good finish again.
Absolutely. Let's just hope it was not a technical issue. Of course, sometimes things like monitors or VR devices can fail on you, and that can cause you needing to stop out on track, of course. So, benefit of the doubt, of course. But it has changed things up. We've got 8 laps remaining here. We're going to be going back to green flag racing, and it's going to be Wellman, Priest, Walsh, Tompkins, Matson, Sharp, Maxfield, Neil, Nazar, and Trimco up in the top 10 positions. But that lets you finish your sentence, Matt.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so we are using the Performance e-streaming webpage, Facebook page is the primary one, and I just noticed that we do have some comments on the ASCAR page, I will try and get there, but I won't be able to check that as quickly as often as the other ones. So, yeah, if you do want to chuck a comment, just chuck it on the Performance E Facebook page chat. Yeah, that was all.
Absolutely. Yeah. There we go. I mean, it paid out for us. It worked out in a way. So,
Yeah.
that's good. Um, but we are going to get back to it, and it's going to be a dash to the end now. This is going to make things interesting. No fuel saving, no worrying about the end of this race. It's going to be hard racing, and this is where things can happen. We have got 17 cars on the lead lap. Kim Rothy, the final car in the 099. Then from 18th onwards, Alex Schmidt is your first car a lap down. So there'll be a battle between those lapped cars, from Alex Smith down to Tristan Koch in 24th position. They'll be battling it out to try and get the best finish out of that group of cars, of course. If they get a late caution, they could possibly get back on the lead lap. But 17 cars could possibly take the win tonight. But you'd probably say the most likely ones to come out of this is going to be your top 8. Those guys have been battling hard all night. But don't discount any other cars. We've seen it happen. We've seen stranger things happen like that. And as the old saying goes, anything can happen in motorsport, and it usually does.
It's changed around a little bit. I would have said earlier before when we had 7 of the top 8 cars were all Simboys, I would say it would be a Simboys car that wins, but maybe the odds have changed a bit somewhat now.
Yeah, and well, there are a lot of Simboys cars up there, but Simboys, they love to race each other. That's one of the things you can say about Simboys. Whenever you're racing them, you think, oh my god, they've got a lot of cars up there and they're all mates, they're going to work together. No, that never happens. They want to race each other. They want to be the best out of that team. So expect to see those guys pushing hard, going for it, trying to be the best Simboy tonight. But they are lining up 2 by 2. Pace car lights are out. We will be going back to green flag racing in about half a lap here. 6 laps remaining for round number 2 of the Australasian Supercar eSeries, brought to you by My Private Seller. It's always a nerve-wracking moment now when you've only got a handful of laps remaining. You're going back for that restart. The adrenaline starts to pump a little bit. You start getting the feeling in your stomach that you could win this, but you have to remain calm, of course. It takes just one moment of lapse of concentration. Put your foot down too hard on the accelerator, miss a gear. All of these things could cost you the race, or they could make it win for you. Lining up now, coming up to the restart zone. It's going to be the green car of Wellman on the low line. The purple car of Priest on the outside. Green flag drops. Wellman gets away nicely there on the inside line. Pulls a bit of a gap from the top. And we are back to racing here. Wellman in lead, Priest in second. Nicholas Walsh working his way up nicely with Noddy Tompkins there on the high line still. The low line pulling away. Looks like they're all jostling for position at the moment. A massive pack behind them, all trying to get the spots in. Barry Neal making a run, does not quite make it underneath Peter Matson. Does not quite get through there. Noddy Tompkins manages to hold off that position up into 3rd place. He is pushed, 4th position. They're pushing hard. The Simboys up in 1, 2, 3 at the moment. Tompkins looking to take advantage of that draft, try and slingshot him past those cars. Gets on the low line there. Tompkins up into Walsh there. They make contact. Walsh holds the car. Great job from Nicholas Walsh to keep that car in the right position. Big checker behind, but the wreck happens. Huge wreck behind them as Nicholas Walsh falls into the grasp of the rest of the pack. Unfortunately, gets caught up in that one, and that has taken out a lot of the cars.
Yeah, the aggression levels were pretty high on that one there. There was a bit of blocking going on, and yeah, we'll just have a look and see what's happened there. See if we can get a replay.
So, looks like Nicholas Walsh lost a lot of the momentum on the car, and unfortunately, he's slowly moved back, and you can just see that everybody starts checking up in the wrong place at the wrong time, and looks like the 222 and the 94 make contact with each other pretty heavily, and then the rest of it starts happening, and cars go everywhere. That is a huge wreck.
Yeah, they're just coming up on a slow car there. Like, Walsh has done a great job saving the car, but they're 3-4 wide here, scrambling to get through. And then the 222s had to come down and make contact with the 94.
And then it's a domino effect as cars get spun around and ping into each other. And there'll be a few close calls behind him as well. A few cars just scraping it through, but a few horror stories as well, unfortunately. You see Warwick Sharp there just sideways. A lot of cars getting caught in that one. Good news though for Matt Patton. He is going to be the lucky dog, so he's going to get back on the lead lap this time round for the next restart. So that gives him the opportunity to get a few more positions in this race, even the chance of a victory, of course. We'll have 18 cars on the lead lap. Quite a few of those, though, are a little bit wounded, so expect them to struggle a little bit. The 94 of Richard Tomko, quite a lot of damage to the front of that car. We've also got Aaron Dillon, I believe, in pit lane. Yep. He is unfortunately looking like his car is done, sadly for himself. That's going to be a painful one for him.
The Kiss car's a bit beaten up.
Yeah, a lot of damage on that one. It's had more than a kiss on the side, maybe a Glasgow kiss.
Liverpool Kiss.
They're always so friendly. Lovely people. But up the front, Wellman will have to do it again. He will be leading this pack of cars across the line for another restart, hoping to go for it. It will be the final caution. We'll try for this is the final caution. We'll try for a green-white checker finish. So we've got one chance of a green-white checker, I believe, up for grabs. But we are very much getting towards the end of this race, and Wellman could be in a chance here. We know he's good on the fast tracks, and he has had a fantastic race so far. He's been up at the front nearly all race long, but he's got a lot of hungry people behind him. Don't discount the car that is sitting on his outside, the 777, and Dwayne Priest. He's been having a good run tonight. A super save as well. We saw earlier in the race him going sideways at a good 280 kilometers per hour and kept it in the right position, kept it running smoothly. Noddy Tompkins sitting behind him in third. Noddy had a great run at Daytona, leading the most laps. Can he lead the lap that counts tonight and get a victory next to his name? Peter Madsen working his way up nicely through the field. 20 positions gained for himself. He is going to hope to get a run here. Couple of little scrapes on that car, but he is sitting in a great position. Don't discount the pole sitter, Barry Neal, sitting in 5th position. We know that he's quick. He got pole position. He is going to be hungry for this win. Chris Finlay just behind them, another of the Sim boys wanting to get a run tonight, with Nicholas Walsh sitting in with him. Troy Davidson in 8th position. We've got a fair few Sim boys in the group. It's going to be a good night for the team at least. Richard Trimco is sitting in 9th position, but a lot of damage on the front of that car. Justin Witcher sitting in a top 10. Could this be the opportunity Justin needs to get up there? We know Justin can pull the rabbit out of the hat when he needs to. Could this be his opportunity now? So pace car lights are out. We are going to be going back to green flag racing. 2 laps remaining with this one. Anybody's race still. Who knows where it will go? Of course, we're in green white checker flag conditions. If you maybe took a little bit less fuel than you needed, this could come back to bite you, but I don't think that's going to be an issue for anybody now. We should be nice and clean to the home, and hopefully we can get across the line with a green flag flying. As the 45 of Wellman gets ready to do it again. We saw him on the last restart get away nicely. He's going to hope he can do the same again. Of course, sometimes being the leader on the restart, especially with a couple of laps to go, can be a disadvantage, as the car behind you can get that draft, can use you as a slingshot, get that win. Will we see Priest do that? Could we see Tompkins? Pace car in. Restart zone coming up. Wellman's going to drop the loud pedal. He does it, and away we go. Back to green flag racing here at Kansas Speedway for the Australasian Supercar eSeries. Good start there for Wellman. Look at Barry Neal behind him. They're going 3-4 wide into the corner. Tompkins on the low line. He's keeping it on there, just touching the apron. He manages to hold it around the low line. Wall of death for him. Dwayne Priest sitting nicely behind Wellman at the moment. Priest is going to try for the slingshot. Meanwhile, we have got Barry Neal getting a good run here, but Tompkins goes down the block. He goes down a bit low. Gets up. Barry Neal gets caught. Cars in the wall. Barry Neal's going around. A huge wreck in the background as Barry Neal gets collected.
Oof, I've got to roll over again.
A huge accident there. as somebody went flying there. As we'll go back and dissect this one. I think it's Christopher Tomlin that went flying over and over again and kept on rolling on.
Barry's already spinning there. So it wasn't Luke. So let's have
Yeah,
a look.
Christopher Tomlin was the car that got caught in that and went rolling along. But that incident happened after Noddy Tompkins got a little bit low below the line, had to come up, and there was a big checkup behind him as the 173 came down into Barry Neal. So there was that little checkup behind him. The 173 goes down, collects Barry Neal. Barry Neal tries to save it. Unfortunately, just behind him is our champion leader of Troy Davidson. He collects Barry Neal, and that wreck goes on. But the checkered flag has flown as we were busy dissecting that incident as the cars went around under pace car conditions. And it is Gary Wellman taking victory tonight for Sim Boys with Dwayne Priest in second place. Third position is Noddy Tompkins getting up there in the end with third position. Peter Matson comes home in fourth with Troy Davidson in fifth position. Christopher Finley comes home in sixth with Nicholas Walsh seventh, eighth for Greg Spencer, Ash Nazir ninth, and Raymond Yeager gets a top 10 finish.
Interesting to see Troy Davidson, another top 5 finish there. I mean, that's the reason why he's number 1. He's the defending champion. He has just really good, solid nights every race. Just gets up there. At the end of the race, he's up there bagging good haul of points, and that just builds the season for his championship. So, yeah, he's the reigning number 1 because he's very, very good at that. So, yeah, good to see him up there again.
Yeah, consistency was key last season for him. I believe he got the championship without a win next to his name, but got the championship through just being consistently there, and it was a great run for him. Of course, he would dearly love to get that victory as well, but tonight it goes to his teammate. Gary Wellman, the mean green Sim Boys machine, gets victory tonight. And he's even got enough fuel in the tank and an engine that's running so he can do some victory donuts. But, well, I mean, huge accident to finish that race off, and that's going to be looked at time and time again, I'm sure, by many of those drivers as they try and dissect where they went wrong, who made it through correctly, who did the right moves, who did the wrong moves, and that's always a big thing that happens when anything like that happens. I think it's one of those crashes where a few people got very lucky to avoid the incident. One of those people being Raymond Yeager, who managed to pick his way through the incident quite well, just avoiding all the carnage going on in front of him.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find the source here. So it's pretty aggressive driving here. They're all on top of each other. It looks like Barry's had a bit of a run down the bottom, and then he's managed to get an overlap. And I think Noddy's come down just to try and just the smallest of touch maybe.
Yeah, maybe
Oh,
that
bit of a
little,
check up. Yeah.
yeah, a little bit of a nudge there, and that's just possibly just throwing the steering off a slight bit. But this is where the incident happens, just behind them. You see there, I think that's Peter Matson with Barry Neal, and that's where the big contact happens up into Nicholas Walsh there, and this is where the big incident happens. Unfortunately, as the car goes spinning around, there's not much you can do for that, and a lot of people gets caught in that one, and nowhere to go. Just watch the car on the low line there, going underneath the white line just there is Raymond Yeager. He manages to avoid that first incident, and then the secondary incident happens in front of him, and his teammate gets speared in front of him, and he just sneaks it through there as well. But Barry
Yeah.
Neal, unfortunate in that one, is he sort of got really caught up in that one from a really strong finish.
Yeah, and I think we saw in the background there was some cars did recognise the danger of the wreck up in the front, so they decided to sort of check up, and unfortunately the cars behind them didn't see it as quickly and ran into the back of them as well, which sort of just added to it. So unfortunately.
Very much so. Well, a dramatic finish to a fantastic race. We'll look at those finishing positions again. We'll go through the finishing order, I guess. So it was Gary Wellman taking the victory tonight ahead of Dwayne Preece. Both solid runs tonight, with Noddy Tompkins in third place. Good run for him, up 33 positions, biggest position gainer of the race. Next up, Peter Matson, 20 positions gained in the race, up into fourth, with Troy Davison in fifth. Christopher Finlay in sixth, with Nicholas Walsh in seventh. Greg Spencer came home in eighth, with Ash Nazir, strong ninth position, and Raymond Yeager in 10th. As we roll over the page, it's Warwick Sharp, with Justin Witcher in 12th, Matt Patton, Barry Neal, Richie Tramco, Luke Cram, Christopher Tomlin, Jared Daly, Alex Schmidt, and Todd Maxfield in 16th spot. Tristan Koch came home in 21st position, with Nigel Patton just behind him. Jai Schultz 22nd, Aaron Dillon 20.
20.
Aaron Dillon 24th, with Adam Malone 25th. Kim Roffey 26th, with Kobe Jordan in 27th. 28th for Corey Savage. Heath Bartlett came home 29th. Andy Barber in 30th. Shane Mello came home 31st, with Ruben Phelps just behind him. The battle of the damaged cars goes to Ruben Phelps. He just kept it ahead of Troy Turner and Craig Roffey in 34th position. Tony Roffey out with 35th position, with Jason Marr, Ross Chatham, and Kay Donnelly, one of the early drivers to retire. We'll let the drivers just get limbered up and run their way up into the green room for a post-race interview. But again, never fails to deliver, does it, the Australasian Supercar eSeries, Matt?
No, there's always plenty of action going on. As I say, one of the great things about it, you've got cars on top of each other and pack racing all the time, but you also have good strategies and time management and fuel management as well, which makes it more interesting from different angles as well.
Very much so. I must say, I'm sad we didn't get to see that green flag finish, because the fuel strategy was paying off to be an interesting one. But I think I'm the only person in the world that finds fuel strategy interesting.
Oh no, I like them. I like a good fuel strategy race sometimes.
It's better than those weird tyre strategy guys, that's for sure.
Especially with these ones here where you've got to use the draft. We saw the Sim boys do a really good job stretching 50 laps out of that tank compared to the guys that were just going flat out that could only get 43, 43, 44.
Yeah, absolutely. It was turning out to be an interesting one. Well, we've got two of the Sim boys in the green room, so we're going to grab up our second place finisher, Mr. Dwayne Preece, the 777 Sim boy entry. Dwayne Preece, welcome to the broadcast booth, and congratulations on P2 tonight.
Thank you, matey. She was a good race, good fun. Almost a 1-2-3 there. While she just fell back a bit at the end, but it was good.
It was a solid run for you guys tonight. You were looking pretty strong up there. You had a fair few cars up the front, and you yourself had a really strong run up towards the front end as well.
Yeah, mate. I got lucky there with caution. I used up my tyres pretty bad. I think the caution fell at the right time for me for tyres. Otherwise, I was in big trouble there. So I got lucky. I drove well, but I got lucky at the same time.
Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. Speaking of lucky, we saw you have a bit of a moment in the race where you managed to catch a bit of a slide.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. Whether my car might have blended into the asphalt. Might have looked like the asphalt. Old mate completely didn't see me and just ran into me pretty heavy there. Only just managed to catch it.
It was a great save. We sort of caught it on stream, luckily, and it looks pretty scary though.
Yeah, and the arms were going flat out, mate. I was more concerned about taking everyone else out, because when you're up front there and you get into a bit of a moment, you potentially take everyone out. So I was sort of more worried about taking everyone else out than myself. So.
Well, from a near miss and a near moment to P2, it has been a solid run tonight, obviously. It was a good run all race for you, obviously. Were you working together as teammates, or were you trying your best to race each other?
We always work as teammates, but it all goes down the last sort of 10 laps. She's anyone's race. There's no, whoever's in the team and whoever's not in the team, whatever. We just go for the win. But Gazza had the run tonight.
Absolutely. Did you think you had much of a chance on him?
Oh, maybe I could have done it earlier, but then I could have taken both of us out of the race. I sort of just sort of thought, a 1-2 is better than a dead last.
Absolutely. Look, congratulations on P2 tonight. Thank you so much for giving us some entertaining racing. But before I let you go, the thing of love and shout out to all your adoring fans and sponsors.
Thanks, mate. Well, firstly, I'd like to thank you guys for broadcasting it all. It's brilliant what you do. And while she's got United Electrical and Hot Toddy's heating, and the Sim Boys for putting it all together. It's a bit of fun, and we love it. Thank you. Thanks, boys, for covering everything.
You're more than welcome, and when you give us races like that, it makes the job easy. Thank you so much, Wayne. We'll surely catch you back in the booth sometime soon.
Cheers, boys.
Okay, next up, we will grab up the mean green machine, Mr. Gary Wellman, the number 45 for Sim Boys, taking out the win tonight. Gary Wellman, welcome back to the booth, and congratulations on a fantastic victory.
Yeah, cheers, Wilco. Pretty happy with that one. Almost just missed out on the podium last week with the fourth, but yeah, glad to get up here this week.
Exactly. You made it look easy at some stages, but I'm sure it didn't feel like that in the car.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes it just feels easier than it should. I don't know. It's weird. You get up the front and things just seem to go your way. And we had a pretty good run for a while there. And yeah, just as a matter of trying to work out if we'd gone too hard too soon, I think. But yeah, kind of we stayed up the front and at the end, that's where you needed to be.
Absolutely. You were in the right place at the right time when that final wreck happened, up at the front leading the race because it got you the win. But you had a pretty strong race all night. You were always contesting for the front line positions.
Yeah, I was pretty happy to run up there, and I had a fair idea the tyres weren't going to chew out too fast. So I was, wondering, a lot of the other guys seem to be playing more of a strategy game, and we were just trying to keep some good pace up and keep the pressure on them to stay on the lead lap, and yeah, it seemed to work out pretty well.
Now we saw the final of the race coming down to an interesting fuel saving part because well, not the second last caution, but that caution came out with a fair few laps to go on a single tank of gas, and we saw drivers having to decide what they were going to try. Obviously, what was your thought when that caution came out? When you sort of knew you had to make probably another stop, but it was also tantalisingly close to maybe fuel saving.
Yeah, it was. I was saying to the boys, I reckon if I stayed out, would have been the only car on the lead lap, and you could have saved hard and maybe got to the end. Big gamble though, and yeah, at the end I buckled and pitted with everyone else and played it safe, thinking I'm up front and it's probably gonna be okay if I can a few more wrecks happen and you stay up there, and it worked out good.
It did indeed. It can't work out much better than getting a victory. I mean, it works out very well when that happens.
Yeah, that's it. Definitely can't complain. But no, the boys all ran real well tonight, and yeah, we seen a fair few of the boys in the top 5, the Sim boys. So I think we're all pretty happy with the overall result tonight.
Absolutely, it was like seeing things multiply. Every time we looked at the top 10, there was just another Sim boy appearing in it.
Yeah, that's it. And for the team, I think it's a pretty good result too. Because yeah, Walshy, I think in 7th, and Parisi in 2nd, and yeah, so the 3 of us all run pretty well for the team as well.
That's always good to hear. Always great to see you guys running strong, and you always run strong on these fast tracks as well.
Yeah, getting better at it, I think. Yeah, it's starting to slowly come to grips with it, as you'd hope. I've been on this thing for 3 years, and yeah, I think I'm starting to get the feel for it finally.
Look, congratulations tonight, Gary. Well done on a well-deserved victory. Before I let you go, though, the usual thing of all the love and shout-out to your adoring sponsors and fans, of course.
Yeah, cheers. Firstly, yeah, you guys, I think Performance Eve streaming in it for the broadcast. I watched it last week. Yeah, really good broadcast. So you guys do awesome. Good to have you back, Wilco. Also, Hot Toddies, United Electrical, all the series sponsors as well. Yeah, just the series. The guys do an awesome job. We love racing this supercar ovals. Yeah, and the Sim boys, good showing from the boys tonight.
Look, congratulations. Thank you so much for giving us a great, entertaining race, and I'm sure we're going to catch you back up here in the booth in the near future.
Cheers, mate. Well done to Noddy on the podium too. That was good to see him up there.
I know, and he's not even in the green room. We'll have to do the Noddy impression.
Yeah, that's it. Cheers,
Cheers,
boys.
Gary.
So yeah.
Victory there for Gary Wellman in the car, 45, and of course, Noddy Tompkins P3, unfortunately not in for an interview, but congratulations to him. I believe he was running with the... oh, my brain has gone slightly blank for a second as I'm trying to remember the team name. It will come up as I click through. He was running with Everything Simulated Racing tonight, I believe, so that's actually a decent result for them. But another race done and dusted, Matt.
Yeah, yep. Another. Sorry, he was on mute again. Yeah, another great race. All done and dusted there. Lots of nice pack racing. Yeah, pretty about that. Green flag fuel strategy run down the end, and the green white with Checo as well. But yeah, I'm sure the drivers will be getting a bit more used to how each other drives and working out how to get to the end of the race a bit cleaner.
Absolutely. Of course, a big thank you to all of our sponsors. You can see them on the bottom of the screen there. Hot Toddies, Heating Installation, Witcher Electrics, My Private Seller, United Electrical Solutions, and RKJ. Of course, we're going to be heading to Kentucky Speedway next time out.
Yeah, just putting that graphic up there. So it'll be 134 laps at Kentucky Speedway as well. So I think that's another 1.5 mile oval.
Indeed. So we hope you can join us there on the 12th of February. We look forward to bringing that race to you and some more fantastic action for the big V8 on the ovals, Australian Supercar eSeries. From myself, Carl Wilkinson with Ian, of course, Mr. Matty Hunter will wish you the best of nights, and we'll see you again soon.